Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our special program that reflects on 20 years since the events of September 11th and really focuses on the special leadership skills of women that we have met over the years who have really charted the course of hope, healing, and leadership through the loss that they have experienced. My name is Joan Mastropolo, and I am a 9/11 Tribute Museum volunteer. I also have a 9/11 story. I am a 9/11 community member. I am a resident of the World Trade Center area. I'm also a board member of the 9/11 Tribute Museum, and I want to welcome you all. If you don't know about the 9/11 Tribute Museum, let me just tell you a little bit about it. So the 9/11 Tribute Museum is a project of the 9/11 Families, Widows, and Victims Association. We started in 2006 with the opening of our first museum, which was actually called the 9/11 Tribute Center. And the goal in opening that center was to give the 9/11 community, all of us having stories of what happened here to us and our loved ones on 9/11, to really give us an opportunity to share those stories with people who wanted to listen. And we knew from what we were seeing around Ground Zero and in the area that there were people who really wanted to come to learn and to understand what happened here on September 11th. And so in 2006, we opened our doors. We have since moved, by the way. We're at a new location at 92 Greenwich Street on the corners of Greenwich and Rector Streets. And since we opened, we have seen over 4 million guests. And we have done many walking tours through the unbelievable volunteerism of the docents that we have at the museum. So I hope that you will take the time to learn more about the 9/11 Tribute Museum, and I hope that you will take the time to visit us, because I know that by doing so, you will not be disappointed. I want to introduce you to a friend and a colleague. My friend's name is Denning Lohez. Denning, welcome to this program. It's so great to be able to talk to you. As I said earlier on, one of the things that I have learned through my experiences at the museum and meeting people is that I have come to know so many people, women and men, who experienced unbelievable loss on September 11th. But what they've done with that loss is they have found a way to honor their loved ones and to teach what happened here on 9/11 through acts of leadership and other acts of service. And so I'm so grateful to have you with me today. You are one of those people. I'm so happy that through this, you and I have become friends. And first and foremost, I want to say to you that I extend my deepest condolences to you on the loss of your husband, Jérôme. And I hope that through our stories and our discussion today, we will learn more about him. Tell us about yourself. What are you doing these days?
Okay, thank you very much, Joanne. I'm so honored to be in your program. And thank you for inviting me, and thank you for your condolences. What I am economic lecturer at Queen's College, and I taught these past months during the summer as summer courses. And right now I have a break before the fourth semester starts. And so I take time to reflect about what happened on that day, 9/11, because this year marked the 20th anniversary of September 11. It's very emotional.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about Jérôme. I know that you and Jérôme met a long time ago. Tell us how you met, where you met, and tell us about him. We really want to get to know him as the person.
Thank you very much. And Jérôme was a French gentleman, and he was an exchange student from Paris. And we met at the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. And he studied computer science. I studied electrical engineering, but we live in the same dormitory called a Hayden Hall. He lived on the second floor and I lived on fourth floor. And how we met, because my neighbor on fourth floor was two French exchange students from Paris as well. So Jérôme always come up to their room, visit them, chat, watch TV together. So he saw me several times in the corridor, and he told his friend he liked me, and he wanted to know me better.
That's
So that's how
beautiful.
we get to know each other. What kind of person Jim was? I would say the something make him special was his thoughtfulness, his gentility. He was extremely gentle person. And people has that cliche that Frenchman, a charming seducer. Oh, I can tell you, yes, Jérôme is extremely charming with his French accent, and also he's attentive. Okay, so give you an example. I noticed he always opens the door in the store, in the restaurant, and so I teased him. I said, "Do you open the door for pretty and younger?" He said, "Absolutely opposite of what you think." I said, "What?" He said, "I more likely to open the door to hold the door for elder lady and not so attractive lady." I said, "Why?" Because that he said that will give them pleasure, and I'm able to serve them. That make me happy. It
Oh,
was
that's beautiful.
he
That
was
is so beautiful.
he was an extremely thoughtful person. That was,
Wow. That is really beautiful. So, were you both married before September 11th?
yeah. What happened is after graduation, we started our career. Jim worked first for Sun Microsystem and then joined the Blue Cross Blue Shields, and I worked for UBS Pinweber. Yes, life was very promising. We married in 1998.
Okay.
Two wedding ceremony, one in New York and one in Paris on the River Seine. And
Uh,
it was a religious one because John's parents are Catholic. So we had also the Catholic ceremony in the how do you say Église de Vincennes. It's a church
wow.
there.
When people think of Paris, it evokes such a romantic setting. And so, I can't think of a more beautiful place to be married and to be able to celebrate uh, both of your relationships. So that must have been absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Tell us a little bit about what happened on the morning of September 11th. I know that this is painful and it evokes a lot of very unpleasant memories. Tell us a little bit about what the morning was like for you and when you came to the realization that Jérôme may have been in jeopardy.
Oh yes. Well, I remember that day very well. September 11 was Tuesday, and it was extremely beautiful day. The sky was blue without a cloud, and the air is crispy. And we wake up earlier, and we're in the good mood because we just came back from Europe because we returned to New York on Sunday evening, and the 9/11 was on Tuesday. So we said goodbye to John's parents and grandparents Sunday evening in Paris, and then we're back to New York. So during this trip, we able to meet Mama, Papa, and the grandparents and all cousins, and also even all the high school classmates of Jerome by accident, And also in July, Jim got his green card. So everything's perfect. So that morning we were happy. We hugged each other, and I saw all his shirt. I was ready to carry on my way to work. I ready to drop it to the dry clean. And the Jim said, "Oh, so many shirt is heavy. Let me do it." I said, "Oh, no, I can do it." So then we said goodbye, and then he went to World Trade Center by the pass. So we live in Jersey City. I went to my office in Weehawken, which has on the Hudson River shore and face the World Trade Center, actually.
Right.
And so I settled down in my office, and then all of a sudden, a colleague who rushed into my office said, "Deneen, there's an airplane hit the World Trade Center tower." I said, "Oh, you're joking." I said, "No, I don't believe you." And he rushed out back to his office. And so he come back again. He said, "I'm not joking. Come to my office," because he has a window face to the World Trade Center. I said, no, let me check the CNN. I was so silly. So I went to CNN website. I didn't see much news, And then my colleague came in to my office again and dragged me to his office. I couldn't believe my eye. The first both tower were already hit by the airplane, and it wasn't collapsing yet. And then all of a sudden, my office building told us all go outside of the building. So we all left the building and stand along the Jersey side of the Hudson River and watch. And then first, the North Tower collapsed in front of our eye. Then the South Tower collapsed. Everyone was silent. I hear a little sombering sound from women, but the men clenched their fists. We all dignified. Nobody make any noise. And my immediate reaction was call Jerome's mobile phone. And it's always direct go to his voicemail. And then our company tell us today don't work, go home. So I went home and I turned on the TV and watch, And I was worried, but I wasn't that worried because he was on 26th floor. It's lower level. And I thought he had an ample and opportunity to escape. So I slept the night, but not in good situation. I wasn't slept well. And the next day, his company has a hotline, 1-800 numbers, told us we can call that number to check our loved ones' whereabouts. So I called in the afternoon, that number, and the operator on the other end said, "Oh, Jerome reported he was safe." I was like, that's so nice, but somehow in the evening, right, I just couldn't sleep. I don't feel something is not right. So around the midnight, 4 o'clock, I wake up again. I said, let me call that 1-800 number again. And so I called again, and this time operator on the other line said, "Oh, I'm sorry, lady. We do not have any information about your husband. We don't know what happened to him." I said, "How can you give me such a contradiction? This morning you told me he was fine, and now in the midnight I checked with you and you say he's not, you don't know anything about him." And the operator explained that they all volunteers, so he didn't know what was the previous operator did before his shift. So he said from his info, what he has in front of him, he see nothing about my husband. He don't know what happened to my husband. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't sleep. So I sit in the sofa, and then around 9 o'clock, all my cousins and my parents rushed to my apartment, and also Jerome's colleague from Blue Cross Blue Shields came to the apartment to stay with me. They brought the fruits, the food, the flowers, okay? And then we sit down, and there's one lady, which is a secretary, told me the last time he saw Jerome was he was waiting in front of the elevator.
So do you think that, were they thinking that he possibly went back up to his office?
Nobody was very sure what happened.
Right.
So what we did, they said, you stayed at home, okay? This is a commanding center, and we divided by group, and we go to each hospital, look for him, and call you back, and you sit in your apartment, wait for the news from us. So meanwhile, my mom and my dad stay with me, and so my friends and the relative went to New Jersey hospital and the Manhattan hospital, try to find him. And then they called, there's no news about him in all these hospitals. And then I went to the copy shop and to copy the many flyers looking for Jérôme Lohez. And then I distribute to my friends and my relatives, and let them to put on the subway station and the lamppost on the street. And also we submit one of these flyer to CBS looking for Jerome, and they announced it. And I received a phone call. I was so happy, jumping into, I saw someone, but actually someone who was on Hawaii, watched the TV, to call from CBS. He saw this flyer. He just called to offer his comfort.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, you know, Denning, as you're telling your story, you are confirming what I often say to my guests when I do walking tours. I tell people that understand that there are many family members who said goodbye to their loved ones on the morning of September 11th, and their loved one simply vanished.
yeah.
They never called. They weren't, obviously they weren't able to touch base. They never went home. And, you know, and in many cases, they were never found. At what point did you know that Jerome was not coming home? At what point did you realize yourself that he was gone?
So the fifth day, and I told my friends and the relatives, say, let me looking for him myself, because I love him. If he hears my call, if he heard my call, he will appeal. He would appeal. So I went to the how do you say, rescue center in the Armory on the 27th Street.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then I went there, and I explained my purpose. I'm here to looking for my husband. Then the people who worked there and told me, we have the list of survival, and do you want to check your husband's name there? So I have two friends with me. So I checked from A to the end of the page Z. And I didn't see, his last name is Lohez, and I didn't see his name there. And I read it 3 times. And the first time I thought maybe my eyesight had a problem, you know? So maybe I cannot read well. So I asked my two friends each to read it them own to see if Loiz's name is there. And my two friends read it, and of course, John's name was not there. So they told me, sorry, Denise, his name was there. I have that sudden burst of anger and rage. I said, how can you do that? You're so careless. Read it again and again. I mean, his name must be there. You just didn't do a good job. But then at this point, people who work there's volunteers step in to interfere with us. he pulled my two friends on the side, right? I don't know what he told my friends. And then he came to me. He said, Miss, I'm so sorry to tell you, if your husband's name was not on the survival list, I regret to tell you he probably gone. You have to be prepared because according to our 5 days searching efforts, people either survived or passed away. Very few survival who just injured. So at this point, my two friends come over and hold me and took me to the taxi and sent me home. And then I realized probably, John,
Yep.
it was gone.
I'm so sorry, Denny. I wish I was there to hug you.
Thank you.
I really, really do. But I will get to hug you someday soon, and I will hug you really, really hard.
Thank you, sweetheart.
When did you realize that? I'm sure that you did a memorial service for him. Did you have a memorial service for him?
Yes, I did.
And when was that?
That was a month later, in October. I had, even though we don't have any remain or anything, I held a memorial service to give artificial closure.
Of course, that's beautiful. And none of Jerome's remains were ever found.
No, 8 months later, and I was home alone, and it was a Sunday. It was raining outside. A policeman knocked on my door. Very strange. He didn't have any eye contact with me. He came and looked on his foot. He just very quickly put a piece of white paper in my hand and said, call that number. And I tried to talk to him. He ran away, So I closed the door. It's 212 number. So I called, and the other side is a woman answered the phone, and it's a matter of fact said, do you have someone passed on 9/11? Oh, he said, this is the New York Medical Examiner Center, and do you have someone past 9/11? I said, yes, my husband. He said, give me his social security numbers I gave. Then he said, okay, we found his remain. You need to make an appointment to come over to check, to check the list, then arrange what we found of him. And then you have to arrange the funeral service to ship him away.
Mhm.
That was 8 months later of 9/11.
Okay. So there was something that they found of Jerome that you could at least have that piece of closure,
Right.
About his loss. Now, I know that you, over the years, have done many things, Denny. You have done absolutely beautiful work. Besides being a professor at the college, I know that you have involved yourself in many things related to September 11th. And most importantly, you developed an absolutely beautiful scholarship fund called the Denning Lohez 9/11 Scholarship Fund.
Lohes.
Jerome, I'm sorry, correction. Jerome Lohez 9/11 Scholarship Fund.
Exactly.
And I'm very interested in knowing, at what point did you decide that you wanted to do something special like that? Why did you do it? And really, what did it mean for you? Tell us first about the scholarship fund.
Okay, let me tell you how that idea of scholarship foundation was born. After that day, when I returned from the rescue center, I realized John passed away, and my instinct and the gut reaction is that how sorrowful this young man, so innocent, was only 30. We didn't even have time to produce a child. I cannot let people to forget him. I must do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the most easy possible thing is that we both students at Stevens, and we were students, so we have not much money. We usually share a $5 ice cream together. So I know if I set up some scholarship program, and that will help the generation students to come. And so I called my alma mater, Stevens Institute of Technology, immediately. So we set up Jérôme Lohez scholarship program, which is an administration by the Stevens. And after 9/11, the whole purpose, I just want to carry his legacy. And what happened is after 9/11, I enrolled, I went to Columbia to do a graduate study on international affairs. And during all the summer and winter vacations, I traveled the Middle East all over. That's the way I travel far away places to cope with the grief. I guess I'm a loner. I need to be away. So, but anyway, after my graduation from Columbia, and I thought instead of just giving money to students, let's charter a scholarship foundation with New York State. So in 2005, I hired a lawyer and accountant. So we chartered the Jérôme Lohez September 11 Scholarship Foundation, and we obtained the 501c3 from IRS.
Yep.
So that foundation was born.
So beautiful. And in 2005, and let me ask, you've done it every year since then.
Yes.
And how many students do you award the scholarships every year?
Oh, every year in average is between 4 and 5 students from the partner universities. Who are our partner universities? That includes Stevens Institute of Technology, that where both Jérôme and I went. That was forever there. That's where we met. That's where is our alma mater. And then Columbia University. That's where I went after 9/11. And then the 3 French institution is Paris 1, University Paris 1, and Sciences Po, and another one, École Polytechnique. And then Jérôme's French alma mater, which is called Epita. And then there's one more university in China, it's a Fudan University. That because my father was a professor there before we migrated to United States.
Absolutely love the way you have connected all of those various institutions that are really an important part, not only of how you and Jérôme met, but also important part of your history and your past. And so I love the fact that you connected all of those institutions and that you're also connecting foreign students too. Tell us about that. So the students that you select, where do those students come from?
The student has to be enrolled in something called a dual degree program. Dual degree program means that it's a degree program set up by 2 higher education institutions, either in France or in America, or in China and in France. So if you are enrolled in this dual degree program, either bachelor or master, you are eligible apply for the Lojes Scholarship Foundation's scholarship program, regardless your religion, your gender, your nationality. So
that is so great. I love that, Danny. I do.
To this day, we have a total 51 scholarship recipients and a total 9 nationalities. That includes Spain, Singapore, Colombia from South America, and Iran, and France, and of course, and US, of course, and China, of course, and Italy, and what's the last one? Italy and Egypt.
Wonderful. I love the way you've connected the diversity around this too. It is so very important. One of the things that you and I talked about last week was the critical competencies or the things that you look for in awarding the scholarships to students, there are very specific components that you look for in what the students have already done in their past. So tell us a little bit about your selection process and what types of things you look for that are so important in how you actually select a student.
Thank you. Yes, 9/11, it was Islamic extremist group attacked the United States. And the Twin Tower represents American capitalism, and many misunderstanding about the United States and about us. As immigrants, I know how kind American people are. So now this scholarship is open to international students, no matter where you're from. So I want to let them know what American people really about. So I asked them on the asset topic, what does the American religion, cultural and religious tolerance means to you, and what American diversity and open immigration policy means to you. And last, I would ask them, are you attracted to the American spirit of entrepreneurism? So that was one of asset topic I showed to the applicants. Another asset in the violent conflict, what one should do, particularly in cultural conflict or religious conflict or racial conflict. When you, as educated students, international students who study in America, in France, and in China, what you will do and what you think, what is your proposal for the conflict resolution? So that was the essay questions that I asked the applicants to write the 3-page essay. And then we read through their essay and we request them to submit the letter of recommendation from their professor, so we know their academic performance and their strengths, and then also from their employee, either internship or how do you say, some part-time job. We want to see if they are a team player. The last one, we ask their peer to write a letter to assess their character. So what we do, so when there's candidates who are very close in the competition, we will choose the one who have embraced the public service spirit. That's more important than the academic.
And that was so compelling when you and I spoke last week. That is the one thing that I latched on to, because obviously community service is something that is very important to me. So when you said that, I really wanted you to tell the audience that, because I think it's so very important. And I hope that someday I will get to meet some of these students that, maybe, you and I can connect to some of these students going forward, because I think that what you have done through this scholarship program has been absolutely phenomenal. And here's what I would say to you, Denning. When you were talking about Jérôme before and the kind of person that he was, you used words like thoughtfulness, obviously gentleman, caring, considerate, and everything that you've talked about regarding this scholarship fund is everything that speaks to what Jérôme was.
Yes.
And so I personally want to say to you that your leadership around this has been absolutely incredible. I honor and respect you for what you have done here. And through this program, I hope that others will learn what you've done and will understand that Loss is very real. It's very painful. It is very hard. But what we choose to do with that loss really speaks to the person that we are. And I think it speaks to the person that you are. And I just want to say, thank you so much. I love you for what you've done. I know that somewhere Jerome is listening and he's honored and he's really, really proud of what you've done, not only as a wife, but as a leader who tries to teach other people what this loss and the absence of the person that you loved so much meant to you.
Thank you, my dear.
When we were talking last week, I asked you a pretty general question because I think many of us in the 9/11 community are very concerned about the lack of education that exists for the younger generation to understand what happened on September 11th, to truly understand the magnitude of the loss and the pain. And so I want to ask you again, because you obviously you deal with a lot of students, but you're dealing with them at the college level. Talk to me about what you believe to be the state of the educational situation around September 11th at this point.
Well, first let me say a little bit about what Lohez Foundation tried to reinforce this 9/11 tragic event into the memory, into those foreign students. So, our scholarship recipients are international students. So once they're selected, I have the luncheon, and sometimes I hold that luncheon in the basement in a museum. But I always take the scholarship recipient to visit the 9/11 Tribute Museum. And they from India, they from Iran, they never, they heard of it. And they hear some propaganda from their government. But here, I bring them to the Tribute Museum. Tribute Museum is from perspective from the family, it's humble, but it shows humility. So we Americans are not monsters as sent government propaganda machines such as Iran, for example. Unfortunately, because one of our students was from Iran, so I just want to mention that.
Right.
So now that was on the college level. We are on the college level. About students, the high school student and younger. For example, at the Queen's College, and now I teach at microeconomic, which is a freshman's class, and many of those freshmen born after 9/11 happened, and I'm telling you, they have no memory and no clue what happened on that day. Okay, so I think the 9/11 Tribute Museum is doing a great job to keep the legacy and so what should we do? I think the 9/11 Tribute Museum already hosts many impressive walking tours and have the public talk, a conference. And I think what I would like to say is that we who directly impacted by 9/11, we are willing to go reach students at their campus. Instead they go to us, I can go to them as a living witness or to give a testimony each year. I would like to do that. If someone who organized a program, I would be happy to do that.
And this is something that you would see as a program that would become actually not almost, but definitely a prerequisite, something that the students must listen to and must actually attend, correct?
Yes, definitely. Because, 9/11 changed the whole geopolitical paradigm. Okay. And then after that, we have the war on terror, And then because this war on terror, you also have that chain reactions such as the Arab Spring and the migration crisis. So I think the root cause is 9/11. I think that's my point of view. So I think we definitely need to, as you said, to put it as a prerequisite or put it in the history textbook permanently.
Yeah, and at this point, there is no standard curriculum for September 11th in the history books. So I think the entire 9/11 community would agree with you that that is something that is definitely needed. And reaching out to educators and having them work on, a sustainable curriculum is something that they really do need to do. So I absolutely agree with you on that. And I appreciate your philosophy and your thoughts on education. Since you are an educator, even though you are at the college level, I do know that you did tell me that there's definitely a gap in knowledge, especially for the younger generation that wasn't here on 9/11. So there is definitely a need for us to share so that they can learn and carry this message forward.
Yes.
Especially since the 9/11 community is getting older. Many people are sick and, from the work that they did at the World Trade Center. So, the community has suffered its own losses over the years from 9/11 related illness. So we really do need the next generation of students to take this message, to learn and take this message forward.
Right.
So I agree with you that we definitely have to do something to fill that gap. Debbie, I have one more question for you.
Sure.
As you reflect on the 20 years since September 11th and all that has happened to you, what is the one message that you would leave with our guests here today with regard to, understanding what happened and where you are today? What is the one message that you would like to leave with them?
Okay, to have this foundation, scholarship foundation, is as much helping other as helping myself. It's a therapeutic. Because engaging with those international students, I also learned many things about them. For example, one scholarship recipient was from Colombia, which country was torn by civil war and drug warlords with government fighting for years, So when he, in his application essay, he said that he wanted to bring the peace and prosperity to his war-torn country. That's one example that, the peace is a universal message. And then the other example is from a student from Iran, and she was studying science. And why in Iran, many people chanted death to America, and they think that because American foreign policy mistake, which caused the rage from the Arab world, so therefore 9/11 happened. But then he really met a widow of 9/11, really met a 9/11 widow, that we are human like them. We share the emotion, share our love for the family, for the prosperity, for the good life. Okay, it doesn't matter what ideology you come from. Even you're Iranian, even your mullah told you you cannot watch movie and the TV, all this, but still you want a good life for your children. Means better shelter and better clothes and good education opportunities. So what my overall message after 20 years engaged to this scholarship foundation and working with the people and to participate in the 9/11 museum is that peace is precious, but it's also very fragile. We should do our part and to prevent another catastrophic man-made violence against another group of people. I think that's very important for us.
So beautiful. Denny, thank you so much. I think what you just articulated is what we often articulate here at the museum, and especially when we're talking to the younger generation. We give them a call to action. And what that call to action is to do something, an act of kindness in your own community.
Yeah.
Help someone else. Because by doing so, you help to make the world a better place. And
Yes.
every time someone becomes a seed of service in their own community, it all adds up and it has a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Before you know it, we have kindness happening all over the place. And so we try to encourage service in all of our guests who come here to the museum. And I think it was absolutely beautiful the way you just worded it. And so I want to thank you so very much for taking the time with me today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we finish?
Oh, well, I really wish, I know, we just go through the pandemic, and then, world moved on. You have the LGBT movement, you have the racial equality, you also have the gender equality. I hope people do not forget the cause of 9/11, and I wish they continue support the good deeds that grassroots like us are trying to helping others. And I hope that even after two decades, that people should not forget what that day and not forget there's how good American people are. They often forget that. I think actually American people are very good. I must tell people.
Well, thank you, Denny. You're absolutely wonderful. It has been an honor to talk to you today and the other conversations that we have had. I look forward to seeing you in person someday soon and giving you that special hug that I know that I need to give to you. You have been an unbelievable support for the 9/11 Tribute Museum, and we are just so grateful to you. To the guests that are out there today, I hope that you take a lot away from the story that my wonderful friend Denning has just told. There is a lot there. There's a lot about pain, and there's a lot about hope and resilience and leadership. And I hope that you take that lesson and that you talk about it with your friends and your family, and that you move forward with that message of hope. If you'd like to visit the 9/11 Tribute Museum, you can go out there and look at our website, www.911tributemuseum.org. We could use all the support that we can get right now because honestly, COVID-19 has had a pretty significant effect on us as it has on other museums and organizations as well. But you can donate on our website, and I would absolutely encourage you to come and be a part of our gallery experience or take a walking tour with one of our volunteers who has a direct 9/11 story. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Denning, wow, I hope to see you soon. You take care. And thank you to all our guests.
Bye.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.